right, welcome to TheoTrade. This is Don Goffman. It is September 7th, 2016, here on a Wednesday afternoon. We got about 9 minutes left to play in the period. And what I'm doing right now is looking at the futures, and they are massively unchanged. Here's a fun statistic. The realized volatility right now. Well, what is realized volatility? It's actual movement in the markets. So how much is the market really moving? Well, statistically speaking, it's the lowest that it's ever been. So right now, the realized volatility has actually fallen into the 4% level, which really breaks down to about 0.27% move on a daily basis. Well, you know, the market's not even really going to move that much, is it? Because what do we got today? We got, well, zero. What's zero? Well, it's zero. With that, I want to look at a kind of a breakout move inside of Facebook and look at a particular scan. So for those of you that are market technicians, first, if you're a market technician, I want to go over to the chart. And on this particular chart, forget about any of the technical studies on here and so forth. In fact, we'll remove some of the technical studies to kind of begin with here. There is again, kind of a breakout move to the upside on Facebook. Now, today it actually hit almost to the 132 level, fell back off of it. If you do take a look on some intraday trade, it spiked, again, kind of fell off. I look over at the trade tab in here. The volatility is about 18%. Nothing too crazy out there. Under option statistics, clearly it's going to trade substantially more option volume. The sizzle index is at 2 times the norm. Why is it? Because it's in play, right? It's just an in-play stock, and that's all that the options market is really displaying at this point, being 2 times the norm. Now, I use a much more statistical based scan. I kind of call it like a quant scan. It's just more about numbers, and I'll go through some of the scan criteria. Number one in my scan criteria that I use to find possible candidates, I scan in weeklies. Why weeklies? It's just products that have weekly options available on them. Not necessarily have to trade the options, but nevertheless, when it says weeklies, it has these weeklies. Why? Because those weeklies are decided by the exchanges, and it's typically much more liquid products. Just because it has weeklies, though, doesn't necessarily denote that it is a liquid product. The next, in terms of scan criteria, so I'm not scanning in the whole market, I'm just scanning, again, specific to weeklies. The next piece of criteria, I've got a study in here. It's within 2% of basically a year high. 252 trading days is a year, right? So 2% of the 252 trading period high. Great. Well, guess what? Facebook does fit that. We'll come down to that in a moment. The next piece of criteria over here, and this one's a critically important one. The price change is at least 3% greater than 10 bars ago. Bars are currently defined as days. So this is, again, huge piece of criteria because I want to see it. It is exploding to the upside. So it's near 52-week high. It's ripping to the upside over here. Lo and behold, does not have earnings anytime in the next 35 days. You can scan, the entire market if you want, and you're going to come up with basically 4 underlyings right now. Facebook, Symantec. Now, Facebook is an interesting one because most market technicians are going to be screaming, it's breaking out, it's breaking out. Well, it happens to fit my statistical criteria, but it also fits much of the criteria that we would use, okay, in terms of technical analysis. Now, if you are into technicals, I'm not a chart guy, but I don't mind spending some time on the chart over here to make this apparent to everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a 6-month chart, all right, and I can pull off different studies here. Here, I'll just move the projection pivots and make this even cleaner for you guys to be able to see. But what you're looking at in a specific study, and this is the study that we mentioned a little bit last week, here is the RSI Legree. And what this ultimately does, and why is it unique from a regular RSI, number one, we're displaying heavily overbought situation. Okay, I mean, it is a bounded oscillator, if you will, and it's pegged pretty much at 1. So can the underlying still go higher? Well, yes. Okay, in which case, what would happen? The bounded oscillator would stay pretty much right at the top end of the range over here. However, in addition to just looking at the RSI, okay, we've also got fractal energy in here. okay, and the fractal energy has all but abated. So what this ultimately means is this current move appears to have completely petered out. It released all the energy. All we want to see right now is when the RSI Legree just comes off very, very slightly and crosses about the 90, we'll initiate a short position. Now, that's the way that a market technician might look at this. Again, I'm much more the statistician. I look at a very simple idea over here. This underlying moved in just the last couple of sessions from roughly, call it 124, 125, and this is, like what, a week or two of trade. Let's call it 124 to roughly 132. Okay, what is it, about 8 points? All right, come over here to the trade tab. Now, typically speaking, how long does it take to see Facebook move that far? And the answer is found right about here. Okay, so come out. It usually takes about 44 days for Facebook to move $7 and about 60 cents in this volatility. Lo and behold, guess what? It did it in just the last couple of trading sessions. So it's exhausted, if you will, its move on a statistical level, and it's a contrarian setup for a trade. So in the coming days, all right, in this particular circumstance, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be patient. I see that the volume is heavy, and normally the moment that my scan displays Facebook, I would jump on it and I would have put a short position on, because this again is a contrarian trade. In this case, I'm going to be a little bit patient, but I want you guys to watch. All right, over the next few days, I'm going to look to enter into a short position on Facebook. In the face of adversity, with a stock that's exploding to the upside, I'm going to look to enter a short position when the RSI actually comes off to the 90 level. Again, this is a study that we've made readily available to everybody, not just TheoTrade clientele here, but everybody. If you want the RSI, we did a free webinar on it. By all means, tune in, turn on. We'll give you the link for that. Nevertheless, let's keep in mind and look for this move in Facebook in the coming days. It's all the proper setup in an otherwise extremely dull market. Thanks everybody for joining me here at TheoTrade. Back all this week in the TheoTrade chat room. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.